tell you something. I love this place. South Deerfield, Massachusetts, Yankee Candle Village. Here we are, August 26th, Friday, the day before the 2016 Halloween release party for Yankee Candle. Now, every storefront across the nation, Yankee Candle, they're going to be celebrating. Welcome, everybody, to the Candle Enthusiast Smell It Sunday. There's a light that's already not on, but we'll fix that in just a little bit. What was I just listening to? That was the very, very first episode I ever posted on this channel, the Candle Enthusiast. Wasn't all that long ago. We're barely pushing, we're a little bit over a year and a half. But you know, it is important to say, suffice to say, for me to say that my life has changed dramatically since I've started this project, the Candle Enthusiast. And I call it the project because I was never quite sure from the beginning what the Candle Enthusiast was supposed to be. Was it supposed to be a candle evaluation show? Was it supposed to be a vlog kind of documentary throughout several years of my life as I was going through a transitional phase? Was it supposed to be me documenting something that I didn't know was going to happen to me? Maybe I would find myself on a path that I wouldn't expect, and why not just have the camera rolling? And over the course of a year and a half, I've gained such loving followers, people that I consider close friends. I have close relationships with people out there in cyberspace that I talk to every day. I have, for the most part, received absolutely no negative feedback as far as unfair negative feedback. Everyone has shown absolute kindness, generosity to me. But the biggest thing is support, because, and this is the heart of what this little live video is about all today. I have yet to really share with you anything of who I am, where I came from, why I'm doing this, how I came to be here. Sure, you know little things about me, like tidbits. I lived in Napa Valley, and I was in drama school and or drama class in high school, things like that. But really, if you add up the pieces, I can completely understand why people are confused. What am I doing? What is my plan? I've been here for a year and a half, and I really haven't had a chance to fully explain myself. So while you're checking out this beautiful seascape, I'm going to turn on my key light. The key light is going to be the main light for my face, and I don't want to be sitting in the dark during this live. Much better, wouldn't you say? First thing is always first. We got to pull up your guys' chats. We have a Q&A. That's right, a Q&A for the past week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks. We've had an open forum on the Candle Enthusiast Facebook fan group page where you could ask any question you want. No holds barred. Ask any question you want, and I said that I would answer it on a live, give or take, as long as there were fair questions. Give or take, as long as there were fair. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. But then after I finish some of these questions, some of them I'll probably weed out. Some of them I certainly will address a little bit in length because they're probably a little bit more relevant than some of the others. But then we'll open it up to an open forum when we are all done. So after I'm done reading these questions, answering these questions, if you have any questions you'd like to address to me, I'm all ears. But please wait until we get closer to when I'm done reading this. Now feel free to talk amongst yourselves, and I'm going to try my best to keep my eyes on the comments right here in front of me. There's the shadow, and it's because of the candle. I want the candle here. Early sunrise. there is a shadow on my face. So I'm going to take it down here and put it there. All right, so welcome again to Smell It Sunday. What is Smell It Sunday? It doesn't smell, it doesn't sound like a wonderful concept for a show, but in fact, it's evolved on its own. It started off as me just showing off some of my, you know, pieces of my collection, what I was buying as far as candles, but it's become more of a dialogue, a live dialogue every Sunday between this little circle, this group of candle enthusiasts. And we don't just talk about candles, we talk about fragrances, we talk about similar interests that we all have. And it's really been something that's now near and dear to my heart. Usually this is on my second channel called Aromatically Speaking, but today, since it was such a big topic, Q&A. Q&A is probably the most requested video I have ever gotten. We've attempted to do a Q&A a few times. I just don't think it went in depth. So I figured this belonged on the main channel. And if you're joining me for the first time, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button so you don't forget if you're watching right now. But let's go over some of these questions. I'm going to address a few questions before you ask them. House on a Haunted Hill, public domain, so I have every right to play that right off on the side. I felt that fits the theme of who we are, the eclectic crowd that we are. We like candles, but there's a lot of you folks out there who've shared their passion for the science fiction films, horror films, and since this wonderful Vincent Price, William Castle film is public domain, I can play it. So why not? Why not play it? All right. And a few things I want to address. Wow, we have a lot of people in the room. Everyone, thank you for showing up for this. It's just getting a little bit intimidating, I will say, considering the amount of people are here. And I will try to move as quickly. I just want to get a good grasp of who we got here. Hello. We even got some of the EPC family here, the Eric Peter Carlson family. I see Rianne and Cookie Hill being two of those. All right. So I actually just printed these out. I've read most of these, but I'm going to save some for the end. I'm going to tackle the easy ones first. Let's jump into it, shall we? First of all, hi, Monica. There's Monica. I knew she had to be here for this. This isn't for you, Monica. This is for everybody else. If you don't know who my name is, I don't refer to myself as the Candle Enthusiast. The show is the Candle Enthusiast. My name is Shane Carlson, and like I said, I started this channel about a year and a half ago, and some questions that have culminated in that time. Here we go. What is your most embarrassing moment? All right, are we ready for this? I'm 5 years old, 6 years old, somewhere around there, and I am upstairs in my house that I grew up in. I'm taking a shower, and the way our house was laid out when I was growing up, our laundry room was downstairs. So you take a shower, you put on a little robe, you go down the stairs, go to the laundry room, you put on a new set of clothes. Well, while I was in the shower, I liked to sing in the shower when I was a kid. I still do. I had some Michael Jackson going on in my head, right? Singing a little bit of Billie Jean, got a little bit of Beat It going on in my head. And I come down the stairs in full Michael Jackson mode with just a towel, a little towel around me, right? And I jump down the first platform of stairs, and I hit the landing, and I turned to go down the rest of the set of the stairs. Now, what I didn't know was that my entire brother's baseball team, they were about high school students, were sitting in the living room watching the Mike Tyson fight on pay-per-view. And by the time I hit the landing, I had lost my towel because I was so frightened. And there I was on stage, on display, 5, 6, 7-year-old Shane, in front of all these high school students who were just laughing hysterically. That scarred me for life. My most embarrassing moment. You're welcome. Um, What is a recurring daydream you have? Recurring daydream. That's a really great question. I do like my dreams do revolve around very similar places, usually places from my childhood. And, you know, do you ever dream about like you're in high school or elementary school or middle school or even college? But it's not the same world. The high school might look the same, it might look similar, but there's something a little bit off, something a little bit different. So although this word says daydream and it doesn't say dream, I'm gonna say, yeah, I spend a lot of time while I'm sleeping reliving things that happened to me in grade school. And if anybody want to do a little psychoanalysis on me, be my guest. Comments down below. Oh, and then the next question is, what is the most recurring daydream you have while sleeping? So now I'll give you the one I have while I'm daydreaming. I like to sit, if I'm not driving, I like to sit in the passenger side of a car, or if I'm on a train or on a bus, I like to look at the window, put headphones on, and look at the surroundings while listening to the music and edit in my head, meaning like I'm editing a video by things I'm looking at, cutting to the music. It's not really a daydream, but I've done that since I was a kid. Listened to music, looked out the window, and as things are moving around, cut to that, 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 and try to keep the rhythm of the song with the cuts of my imagination or the visuals in front of me. Okay, here we go. Who is your best friend, and what are the qualities that make them my best friend? Well, my best friend in the whole wide world. You know, it's hard because brothers are best friends by default. But if you had to talk about non-family best friends, my best friend is Leonid Pinea. Huge shout out to Leonid Pinea from Houston, Texas. We went to middle school together. We went to high school together. We were the exact opposite. He excelled in school. He was the salutatorian in our graduating class. I was always in the art room. I was always in the photography room. I was always on the stage in the drama class. We just were so different. But there's something beautiful about symmetry, and I don't mean that we were similar. I mean that we were somewhat, as the cliche goes, or cliches for a reason, opposites attract. And I think I really, 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 from an early age, learned to love how interested he was in educating himself and learning and asking questions and using critical thinking and not just trusting and listening to what other people say. But if somebody says something to you, to be like, well, wait a minute, let me think about that and let me respond, instead of just taking their word for it. And on the same token, I think he enjoyed my spontaneity for life, my joy for the arts, my enjoy for getting in the car, not having a plan, driving, getting lost, just having fun, unorganized chaos in the form of good old-fashioned fun and entertainment. And to this day, we remain best friends. We see each other about twice a year. And congratulations, Lee. He's now engaged and soon to be married. And we will be seeing him on the live, or not on the live, on the Candle Enthusiast sooner or later, once we get our way down to New Orleans, or I should say Louisiana and Texas. What issues weigh heavily on your heart, personal or worldly? See that? I'm going to circle that one because we're going to come back to that because that's heavy right now. That's heavy. And I want, as is this one, what makes you cry? You know what? I'm going to answer this one right now. I'm going to answer this one right now. And you think I'm kidding. You think I'm kidding. And judge me if you wish. You want a good cry? Hug Mickey Mouse. Hugging Mickey Mouse, as long as you're fully willing to put yourself in a vulnerable position. What I mean by that, vulnerable position by like not trying to be macho, grown up adult, but letting yourself be a child and letting those emotions, those childhood emotions flow and thinking about what it means to hug Mickey Mouse, this guy right here. You know, and what this character, what this hero, what this icon stands for, and the man who gave him to us, and what that all means. If you're a Disney fan, or if you're not, I should say, if you're not a Disney fan, you might think I'm a little bit loony. But if you're a diehard Disney fan, I think there's a morsel of truth that I think you probably understand to that. And if you want a good cry, you hug Mickey Mouse. And I really wish I had a link right here, right there on the screen, because my brother once recorded one of the most beautiful pieces of footage I've ever seen in my life. It was a vlog he did at Disneyland where a gentleman had waited his whole life to meet Goofy. It was his favorite character, right? Favorite character of Disney. And his dream was to visit Disneyland with his father. And they just never, I guess, could never afford it. My brother found out all this information because he was waiting online to meet Goofy with this gentleman. And the gentleman was telling my brother how he recently had lost his father, and this was his way of, you know, kind of celebrating I shouldn't say celebrating, but remembering his father and fulfilling their lifelong dream was to visit Disneyland. And I'm tearing up as I'm thinking about this. My brother captured this moment on film where this guy stood up to Goofy and completely broke down in tears and gave him a hug. And everyone around in the frame knew exactly what was happening. They could feel it. They understand how vulnerable that experience is. There's something about Disneyland that brings you right back to your youth. And if you haven't experienced it, maybe it's about time we plan a trip. So hugging Mickey Mouse makes me cry. What intimidates you? What intimidates me? I hope this goes over well, and I hope this is a good thing, and I hope this is not a sexist comment. I hope that women go like, this is awesome. I think strong, powerful, confident women intimidate me. Oh man, yeah, right. I think what's one of the reasons why I really like the character of Mary Poppins so much is that idea of the confidence, never second guessing, and having the wisdom, having the knowledge. It's funny how sometimes I'll meet somebody half my age. It could be a guy or a girl, but I'm just saying that, let's say if it is like a young girl in her 20s, but she's super confident, she knows exactly what she's talking about. Let's say she's trying to like sell something and she knows everything about the topic and I know nothing about the topic. I'm intimidated, like completely. Whereas some guys I feel like maybe wouldn't, they would try to hide that. I'm completely open to say that, like, well, yeah. I when it comes to age, sometimes I completely forget. So a lot of things are coming to mind. A lot of job interviews, being intimidated. A lot of those are coming to mind. I hope everything was PC with what I said there, and if it wasn't, know that my heart is in the best place possible. If I could pick another time period to have been born, if I could have picked another time period to have been born, which one would that be? I really think I am scary moment about to happen over here. Be careful. Whoa. I'm a part of my. I think a lot of my peers would agree the same thing, that we are on the cusp of such an amazing few decades. I mean, how technology has changed, how the world has changed, how communication has changed, how just staples of everyday life have changed. I mean, not little things, huge things, but things like nutrition and things like, well, of course, technology and things like communication, internet, and did I say education? Education, yeah. Like, if you want an education, your only option, right, was, I mean, this goes back hundreds and hundreds of years, right? You had to go to school. And although I'm not condemning school, but there's other ways of learning these days without ever having to step foot into, say, a graduate school, or if you choose not to go to college, maybe that's something I would support your decision if you didn't want to go to college and you felt like you were ready to jump right into a career right after high school. I sometimes ask myself whether or not I should have went to college, and yet I went twice. So if I could pick another time period, so the point is, I really enjoyed the time period that I am living in. Um, I love, I do. I think maybe if I could just been born a couple of years earlier, I would have had a few more memories of the 80s. Um, but I really don't know. I really don't know. I certainly wouldn't want to go into the future, because the future is, let's face it, it's probably not going to be, well, I don't want to get negative, but the future, I mean, I'm talking about the distant future. I don't know if I'd be able to handle that emotionally. Um, and then going into the past, I don't know if I'd be able to live without an Apple TV or my iPhone or modern conveniences. And as shallow as that sounds, I think it's pretty true. Your house is on fire. My God, your house is on fire. And you can only take three things. What are they? Assume Elsa, my dog, my little Maltese, and all your loved ones are already out and safe. This one I read and I thought about for a good amount of time. What do you do? I don't think it's so much about what you take. It's about what do you do in that moment, right? Okay, yeah, maybe I can go grab like a piece of jewelry that belonged to my grandmother and that would be like a family heirloom, right? Something like that. Or maybe I could grab, you know, um, you know, um, one of the many books that I read in my youth that changed my life. But more importantly, I think I would focus on how I would want to remember that moment for the rest of my life. And I thought of a good answer. If my office were the place to burn down, this would probably take me about 25 minutes. But how about I take every single lid off of probably the 350 plus candles that are in this office? Take all of the lids off. Let the office burn to the ground. Stand in the distance and smell those candles and the collection, the collection of all of those many fragrances, all of those candles combined. Let that serve as a reminder for the rest of my life how meaningful those candles were to me, how I never was embarrassed by them, how I'm not afraid to say candles and fragrance and aroma has changed my life. But I would sit there and I would enjoy that moment. I wouldn't enjoy that moment. Of course, I would not enjoy that moment. But I mean, could you imagine how powerful that moment would be to all of those candles that were each and every one had a story, an association. Each one was purchased with a person, a different year, a different time, and to see not with your eyes but your nose all of them at one time. I think it's a little bit of, might sound corny to folks, but to me that's a very romantic idea. And I think if I left everything behind and I did that, I don't think I would regret it. As long as Elsa was okay. Because if Elsa was still in the house, I'd need to grab her. Hollywood is making a movie on your life. Who plays me? who plays me. Now that could go in a couple directions. Now, who do I want to play me? Or realistically, who is going to play me, right? Like, um, I think like Sean Ashton, circa Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings. I think that's probably what I'd get if I were lucky. No, no hate to Sean Ashton. Goonies never say die. Um, but if I were to see someone play me, how cool would this be? I don't care if you guys want to make fun. I don't care. Jeff Goldblum. I want Jeff Goldblum to play me in the story of my life from a baby, from a baby. Like I don't want no like fake actor kid playing Jeff Goldblum or me as a baby. I want Jeff Goldblum to play me as a baby, and I want Jeff Goldblum to play me in current day and as an old man. Somehow, with the technology of movie magic, I want that to happen. So, um, MGM, Paramount, Universal, 20th Century Fox. Even though you're really not a thing anymore, you know where to find me. MySpace. Um, da, 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 da. If you had to describe yourself in scents, a candle that would express you who you are and what would those fragrances notes be? So if I were a candle, not and not like literally what do I smell like, but if I had to sum up, um, my personality poetically in aromatics. And again, I mean, this is may not ring true to others, but for me, um, I don't know. There's always a part of me at some point of the day that here comes the David Copperfield thing. There's always goes back. I always go back to theatrics and being backstage and in the dark with the fog, with the curtains, with the lights and the smell of the lights, the spotlight, being in the old movie house, whether it's a clean, elaborate movie house like the Radio City Music Hall or an old Cineplex with, sticky floors of bubble gum and popcorn and dried up soda. There's something about the idea of performance, being behind the curtain, the excitement, being terrified, but the mystery and the mystics behind it. Um, if you could somehow create a candle called, something along the lines of, backstage or curtain, as in curtain, like it's curtain time, the curtain opens, curtain, and all of the many smells of what a backstage of a movie house would smell like, or an old a theater. If you've ever taken a backstage tour of like, any old theater house, um, there's a lot of aromas there. There's a lot of history there. I have a feeling could be something I would enjoy and actually something I would burn. So I really didn't name any specific notes, but let your imagination and let your emotions fill in those empty spaces. Fog machine, maybe. If you had to choose between never being able to see again or never being able to smell again, which would you pick? And in parentheses, gosh, that is a dark question. Yes. And this is just a gut instinct. Um, I think I can still smell without actually physically being able to smell. Meaning, if you put a clothespin on my nose and I go throughout my day, I can still smell the world around me. Because I'll say this to my dying day, um, that the art of aromatic evaluation is a visual art. That it's visual cues that are set off when we smell things. So in many ways, I think if I looked at a Christmas tree, I could still feel the smell, this still experience the emotion that I would feel if I smelled a candle that smelled like a Christmas tree. Does that make sense? So I think my vision would aid me more in recalling and remembering and appreciating smells, and would be more closely tied with those emotions. So as sad as it would be, I would give up the olfactory sense first. What's your favorite song? Time for Me to Fly by REO Speedwagon. If a candle was made after you, what would it smell like? I think it's kind of the same question, but I do appreciate if this question does become redundant, because this is really what it's all about for me. Um, um, I guess if we wanted to take another attempt, if you ever watched a video where I visited El Sonana, Disneyland, they asked me what kind of fragrances I like. And I don't know, I was kind of put in the spot, but I said outdoorsy, alpine, trees, cold, snow, cedar, anything that reminds me of being in the winter in the mountains, being stranded in a cabin, as long as there's coffee. Um, that is my comfort zone. Like when I need to calm down and I need to go to my special place, I go to that place. You know, a little cabin, nice and warm by the fire, snowing outside, the sounds of the wind. So there would be another approach for a candle. When you retire, when I retire, I love this. Very, 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 very kind of you to say retire. What would your dream destination be? Kind of talked about this the other day. Um, as selfish and as childish and as silly as it might sound, I know people would give limbs to travel anywhere in the world. I honestly think if someone handed me uh, a premier pass, coast to coast pass for Disney World, Disneyland, and all the parks, and I could go from coast to coast and live my retirement years hanging out in Disneyland, Disney World, I don't think there would be a day that would go by where I would regret that decision, nor would I get bored. I'd probably be more productive in retirement than whatever you call this. I'm not purposely not mentioning names here, but I want to mention this name. If you ever wanted me to create a candle with you, this being Leslie Pethybridge from Pethybridge Candle Company, um, what would it be? Hint, hint. I think Leslie's asking if we could partner up and make a candle. I think Leslie, it would be something that I just discussed. I think it's got to be personal to me, but it's also got to make sense to other people, and it's got to strike chords with other people and make sense. If it just sounds esoteric or highbrow and it's really vague and like the label doesn't really make sense, everyone's just gonna be like, this is pretentious, pompous, I want nothing to do with it. But if I could really strike a chord of what I was trying to communicate on the label and have us describe it, I think that's what the smell would be. We'll talk. We'll talk. I've been postponing our emails for a long time. We should probably just have a phone conversation. It's probably be a little bit easier. What was the most fun trip, vacation that you have ever had been on? Who did you go with and where did you go? Man, I mean, I'm taking these on the fly here. In high school, I say this all the time. I was like in college French. I did not belong there. How did I do it? I don't know. I don't know. I somehow managed to keep asking to get into these college, because I knew once I went to college, I was never going to be able to pass these courses. So I figured, let's get the college courses done in high school. But anyway, there was a high school college French class trip to old Quebec City. We went to Montreal and other places like that. But it was my first time. I wasn't a big traveler when I was a kid. Like my family, we wouldn't travel that much. You know, we were very much homebodies, and you know, we would travel to Pennsylvania, we travel to Massachusetts, but we never dared travel across country. We went to Disney World. I don't want to say like my parents didn't take us places, but even as kids, we would have preferred not to travel. But traveling and seeing uh, old Quebec City, and if you've ever been there, seeing that for the first time was an eye-opening experience. It was a light bulb moment. There was a moment there when I saw like these cobblestone streets, the calmness of the people around me, the art culture, the beauty of the weather, the the really welcoming feeling of being a tourist, and then seeing it at night and being like, wow, this is what movies are made out of. I'm like, no, this is what the world is made out of. You just have to go out your front door to see it. So that was probably, so who did I go with? I went with a whole busload of my peers. Some of them I'm still very, very close with. I think we'll, if we ever had a class reunion, um, we will talk about that trip and talk about like how epic it was. Um, what do you like about yourself? What do you think your best quality is? I think I can make people laugh. I don't think I'm a funny person. I don't. People ask me why I don't like why I never tried stand up, or why, like my brother, why I don't try to write screenplays and try to make my own films. I don't think I'm an inherently funny person. I think constructing a joke, and having a good sense of humor is truly a gift, and it's something that you have to work on. And some people are very gifted, but when it comes to just making people laugh, I think that there's, you give me enough time with the right person, I can figure out the Rubik's cube, the puzzle, and I can make, at least make them chuckle. And for me, that's really important because that's always been my self defense mechanism. Um, if I, as long as I can make people laugh, I feel like I can always fit in, and that's true today. That was true in first grade when I walked into the classroom and all of these assigned seats were taken and I had no idea what to do, and I was scared. I'm like, there's no more seats. I'm late, I understand, but what am I supposed to do? All these strangers, all these kids are laughing at me. Where do I sit? And I just popped a squat on the floor and the whole class started laughing. And then suddenly it wasn't that difficult. It wasn't that embarrassing anymore. So, yeah, I like that part about myself. How are we all doing over here? Are you guys talking amongst yourselves? I think you guys are just listening. We have 45 people in the chat room. If you're enjoying this first ever in-depth Q&A, we got big announcements after this, people. We got big announcements. I think after this afternoon, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but the Candle Enthusiast will be changed forever. And I don't mean me, I'm talking about the channel. Doesn't that excite you? Doesn't that excite the potential of what could be? And some of you are like, I just don't care. Show me the candles. Where were we? Please share a nice memory you have of the time spent with a grandparent. I was just in a situation growing up because of my age, of the youngest of three sons, and there's a big gap between our ages, my brothers and I, and so there really was one set. My father's parents, who I was just legitimately too young to ever really get to know, and my mother's father I never had a chance to meet, and so for me, my real grandparent was my nanny, my mother's mother, and I would visit all the time. I would spend weeks there during the summer. She would be with us for every holiday, and and I don't know if there's any one particular moment. I shared a moment in one of my videos, Yankee Candle's Macintosh episode. It was one of my very first episodes, where my grandmother and I, we would go down to the apple orchard, and we had permission, but we would pick apples from the tree, and bag them up. And she wouldn't climb the tree, but she'd like be like, all right, go up there. No, those are the good ones. You want those. Those are getting the sun exposure. Those are the ones you're gonna want. They're gonna have the most sugar development. So she was kind of guiding me along, and I have very fond memories of a very specific day of that. But I think the most special moments of being with my grandmother was when she would watch me. We do a lot of walking in her hometown. It's where the town where both my parents grew up, and it's where she grew up. And we would walk from her house to Burger King for lunch, and she would share stories with me the whole way from her house to Burger King about things that she had remembered in certain locations as we were passing them from her childhood. I was the age at the time. Um, um, I was the age she was at the time of the stories she was telling me about having to, wait for the trains to go by to grab the charcoal that was spilling off the trains going by. Stealing that charcoal and bringing it back home, right? Or walking with the friends, and this would be this certain passage that they would take, a shortcut. Um, there was plenty of those moments where it was my grandmother, my nanny, and I solo, one on one, and I think we all have those moments. And if we don't have those moments, it's it's just what I always say. It's like I don't have advice for children or the new generation. I don't know what the future is going to bring. But what I will say, I've said before, and what I'll say again is make memories. Make as many as you possibly can. You can get rid of the ones that you don't need, but make sure that you keep the good ones, because those little conversations I had with my grandma, those easily could have got lost in a spring cleaning, one year, just emptied out those memories. I didn't need those anymore. But no, I chose to keep those, and I'll have those tokens for the rest of my life, and they will enhance the rest of my life. So I hope everyone listening, if you're relating to what I'm talking about, has similar experiences, whether it be a grandparent, whether it be a parent, whether it be a godparent, a sibling, a spouse, anything. Anybody who was taken from you too soon. I hope you have those. Hope you have those memories, and if you don't, there's no reason to be ashamed. Um, do you want kids one day? And if so, what would you name them? Let's go over what would you name them first. Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Now, hear me out. I know, they would be. No, I'm just kidding. I would not call them Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Um, you know, you, you never say never. Never say never. But at this point in my life, keep in mind, I forget. I mean, you guys probably know, but I forget. I'm not in my 20s anymore. You know, I'm quickly approaching the halfway point of my 30s, quickly approaching, and I'm still hustling to get things in order, and if anything has proved to me that um, you know if anything has proved anything I've experienced has proven itself to make me happy. It's been the past year and a half, and what have I been doing the past year and a half? I've been trying to I've been trying to do something with the Candle Enthusiast, and it doesn't always translate in the videos, right? I'm not looking at it as the, the videos I'm putting out. I'm trying to build something, and I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, well, what does that mean? What are you trying to build? Are you trying to build like a little like cult of candle people? No, I feel like entertainment is going in a different direction. I feel like as a filmmaker, I never fit in that industry. I feel like in the wine industry, it's not something I really enjoyed. I love wine, and I love learning, and I love educating about wine, but I feel like there's something in creating um, my own content and expanding. See how far you can go. And I want to give a huge shout out right now to L McNamara for a $10 super chat. Thank you dearly. And perfect timing on that super chat too. Just as I was kind of building up a little bit of emotion, a lot of these things I'm doing this past year and a half, still a lot of question marks from me too. But to see support like that, not just money, not money, but this. I know that money represents something, and I know that your words mean something, and you guys watching means something. It's support, and it means the world to me. So Ella McNamara, thank you. I just want to make sure that I'm pronouncing your name right, and it looks like I am. Thank you very very much. And I want to read your message too. You're welcome. Thank you for everything you do. The pleasure is certainly all mine. So, do I want to have kids? At this juncture, I don't. It's not on my agenda. It's not on my calendar. It's just I just don't see it. And but that's what's wonderful about you never know what's gonna happen. You never know what's gonna happen with the world. But the way I see it right now, it's not on my like to-do list. Like it's not in the long-term plan. It's not on my 5-year plan. Like I don't. It's not written. It would have to spontaneously happen. Um, and what would I name them? I really don't know. I really don't know. I think I would name them after family members. I think. Describe the worst smelling place you have ever been. Um, I mean, I got it. I'm just trying to sum this up as quickly as possible. If any of you folks are familiar with my brother Eric Peter Carlson's films, he wrote and he directed a film back, God, I don't know how many years ago now. But I was one of the producers and first assistant director on it, and very with all these low budget films, everything's low budget these days. With any low budget feature, there's just compromises you have to make, sacrifices you have to make. And we had this one scene that was a diner sequence So we needed a little like 50s diner thing, and we just didn't have the money to like close down a business, especially in Los Angeles, for a day to film a small scene. So we essentially found this like back lot somewhere. It wasn't a major studio, it wasn't like even a legit studio. It was just someone who had a set of a diner, and we had about 50 men sweating for about 12 hours, no AC, in this little set with, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of watts of light. Now, of course, there are women too, but let's face it, men, we smell a whole lot worse than women. And being in that like bunker, shirts, jeans, Eric, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about, saturated and just sweat. We would have to step out, take off like a towel that we'd have wrapped around our heads and wring it out into a bucket. We were just force feeding ourselves water while sweating it out, and we were in there for about 12 hours, this sweat box. And if you watch that scene in the film, the whole scene looks like we were in an air-conditioned environment. That's a little plug. Film's called The Toy Soldiers, directed by Eric Peter Carlson. First assistant director, executive producer Shane Carlson. It's on iTunes if you want to check it out. What's the best prank you've ever played on someone? About 3 o'clock in the morning, my dear friend Kelsey in high school, I apologize. She was home alone watching TV, and me and my buddies, we drove up to her house. She was sitting on the couch, and I had like a road cone, and I just made this really weird noise into this road cone, which was morphed and distorted, and it was right by the window where she was sitting. She called the police, and she said that there was a madman outside her house, like legitimately. She thought like someone had broken from like an insane asylum and was outside of her house trying to break in. I regret that moment. It was funny for first few seconds. What followed was not worth it. Was not worth the prank. Do you play any musical instruments? Which ones do you like to sing? I sing. Oh man, I sing. I have no education. I have no training. I cannot stay in key. I cannot carry a note. But man, when it comes down to it, and I need to like sing and not like sound god awful, I can probably do it. I don't think the same is true for some of my brothers. Just kidding, Eric. But I don't know. It depends on who I'm singing along with. I think I'd be good as like one of those like harmony background singers, because I can, you know, if I was like Tom Petty's backup guy, I could do that. Or maybe like Stevie Nicks. Yeah. Okay. What is, and speaking of music, what is your go-to karaoke jam? All right. Elton John's Don't Go Breaking My Heart. Only I play both parts. It's not a duet. I sing both parts of the song. That's why it's my go-to. That's why it's spectacular. However, it does require a certain amount of alcoholic beverages for that stuff to go down. And there is some video proof out there somewhere, and I'm looking to destroy it. You know who you are. Somebody has it. Good friend of mine. I know who you are. You can't hide. You can't hide in Paris. He's hiding in Paris. This is what he's doing. I know who you are. Do you believe in forgiveness or revenge, bitterness towards one's enemies? Yes, I believe in forgiveness. I believe, I don't necessarily believe in revenge. I believe in letting people know if they hurt you. I don't think that they should have the satisfaction of living life not knowing that they hurt you. I think that's perfectly fair. the whole concept an eye for an eye, something like that. No, I think I always go back to my youth. I think a great example of this was, when I was a young lad, I had a haircut similar like this. I had the, a little round, chubby face like that. I didn't have the goatee, but every now and then in the grade school, you get made fun of and stuff like that. And high school years come, and then that's when like your virtues shine, right? Like suddenly I wasn't this, you know face in the crowd. I was this guy who was known for making movies. I was, again, it sounds so incredibly lame. Like I was the lead in the drama shows, and I was in the musicals. But in our little community, our little town, that was actually kind of cool. Like the people kind of looked at that as like, wow, he had his courage to go on stage. So there was a lot of respect for me in high school. And so a lot of those people who treated me in a way where it was not so friendly started to treat me nicely in high school. And although I never um, like held any bitterness towards them, in many cases I did remind them that they really hurt my feelings when I was a kid. I got a few girls to cry too. That felt good, cathartic. Don't call me a fathead. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Nobody called me a fat. If anyone called me a fathead, it was my brother. Um, what is your favorite animal attack movie? For bonus points, have you ever seen Shakma? 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 I heard this being discussed. Favorite animal attacks movie? I don't do that. I will give you bonus points if you hunt down the film Jacko, Jack apostrophe O. He may not be an animal, but he's a demon from some dimension. And if you can make it through, and make it through that film, good luck. In terms of Fred Decker's two 80s, wow, these are really specific. In terms of Fred Decker's two 80s horror masterpieces, do you go with Monster Squad or Night of the Creeps? Absolutely, positively, hands down, no question, and not to disrespect anyone who would vote otherwise, but the Monster Squad. Monster Squad, we're the Monster Squad and the forces of evil. The makeup effects in that film, essentially every monster was created by a different makeup artist. I mean, it was overseen by, I'm forgetting the gentleman's name right now, but that is like the epitome. That is the epitome of like 80s Goonies horror film. There should have been so many more like it. What is your favorite vigilante movie? What candle would you pair with the angst of those sorts of films? Now, I'm tempted to say Death Wish, not Bruce Willis, Charles Bronson. But I really don't know, because it's been years since I've seen Death Wish. I really did. I'm not a big Quentin Tarantino fan. I mean, Pulp Fiction is a classic. It's one of the greatest films of all time. I mean, it's simple as that. But as a storyteller and a director, he's never been one of my favorite directors. But what was the question? Oh, I really did enjoy Kill Bill, the first installment of Kill Bill. I remember I was at an age and at a time, and I was in early film school at the time, or just before, where it was fun to actually get the references that he was using, like he was paying homage to this director or this style of filmmaking. Plus, I love Uma Thurman. That movie was fun. There was some really good music. A lot of pleasant things to like in the movie Kill Bill. Of course, I'm going to be thinking of a movie after this live and being like, I can't believe we said Kill Bill over something else. What are the top 3 countries you would like to visit? Oh, there was a second part of the question. What candles would I pair with those movies? So Kill Bill, what would I pair with that candle? Something along the lines. I'm thinking of the scene like the duel between Lucy Liu and Uma Thurman when they're out in the little courtyard with whatever the blossoms were and the snow's falling. So something along the lines of like cherry blossom, but something with the cooling sensation, and maybe like bamboo. I don't know. Give it like this exotic Asian spin. I think that'd be cool for that film. Maybe a little bit of like musky leather for Uma's jacket. What are the top 3 countries you would like to visit, and what are the scents, aromas that you do associate with them? You guys write perfectly fine. I read terribly. What are the top 3 countries you would like to visit, and what scents / aromas do you associate with them? I'm not, like I said, I'm not a world traveler. I think what opened my eyes and what really, really made me want to travel was the prospect of visiting wine regions throughout the world. Through my education of wine, I dreamed of spending time and I think first and foremost France. You know, anywhere in France. Although I am half Italian, I think my heart belongs to you know, places like Burgundy and the Rhone Valley, Loire Valley, of course Bordeaux, Champagne, Alsatian wines, and so, you know, I think France, if you want to count all those places separately, I would love to just study wine, work in the vineyards in France, Italy as well, northern Italy, when it comes to wine, and New Zealand, I think. I think just New Zealand. I think New Zealand and I would have a really good relationship. I don't know what it is. I feel it. I feel it. Thing is, it takes a long time for me to get where I am to New Zealand. I don't know if I could handle that, a flight that long. And what sense do I associate with New Zealand? I associate with greenage and really, really big minerality, rocky cliff minerality. Not fertile soil, but really rocky, gravel-rich soil. And of course, I mean, if you want to do like Bordeaux more clay, like a left bank Bordeaux, more of a clay-driven soil with the vineyards, harvest time, and all of the bounty that comes with that. If we talk about places like Champagne, we could talk about limestone, and we could talk about notes of citrus and lemon custard and all that jazz, butter and biscuits, and why do I say that? Common descriptor in aged fine champagnes. Look at this. Now this I meant to do. I meant to work on these questions. Not this one. What foods do you wish you enjoyed more? There's only one food that I'll get there, but I haven't been able to say that I've had a pleasant experience yet. And what makes it worse is, and see if somebody can guess it. there's people in the world who will claim that this is the best delicacy in the world. One of those people being Anthony Bourdain. Um, and it's a food that I've tried. Not fish eggs. Fish eggs I do all the time. Seafood, I love seafood. Caviar all day. Oysters all day. Any style. I used to go to Oyster Monday. You know, dollar oysters and a glass of champagne. Um, Rocky Mountain oysters. Well, I haven't had any experience with that. Raw steak I would do because I get my steak um, uh, medium rare even sometimes, depending on the place. Escargot is awesome. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, delicious. Scallops, love scallops. I'm going to be talking, of course, uni, U-N-I, uni. That is going to be the innards. I'll leave it at that. The innards of a sea urchin. Tripe. Tripe's a good one. Tripe's a little bit rough. Tripe's a little bit rough. But the innards of a sea urchin. The only way I can describe it is like eating a tongue of a baby alien. Yeah, the tongue of a baby alien. It has the texture of a tongue, but it also has a texture of, if you think the texture of a raw oyster is rough. But then again, there's people in the culinary world that it's like the biggest delicacy in the world. Anthony Bourdain claims it's his favorite thing on earth. And I've tried it several times and I just can't warm up to it. But anything else, I don't have, like, people say, like, what foods don't you like? I like anything, and I'm not allergic to any. I don't have any food allergies, so I'll eat anything. Um, Nikki's in the house, better late than never, and she's very confused by the tongue of a baby alien. um, tripe. I feel like I was introduced to in college because tripe sounds like a fish. And when you're like 18 years old in college and you're on a budget and you're like, wow, this fish that looks a lot like honeycomb is very inexpensive. You're like, well, let's buy some of it and let's cook it up. And come to find, tripe is what? It's the inner portion, the lining of the stomach of the cow or the pig, or maybe both. I don't know. But I thought it was fish. It's not. And it doesn't taste like it either. Oh, that's who it was. A friend of mine in Napa. It's like a hangover thing. I don't know if that's just a cultural thing, but like uh, um, tripe soup, like stew. It was like a hangover cure. I never indulged. Top favorite Disney voice actors. You're killing me. I wish that I had done the research on this question because I don't know their names, but because I just have terrible memory. But I think number one has to go with God. I'm so upset that I don't know her name. Somebody help me out. Somebody help me out. She was the voice of the evil stepmother in Cinderella. She was the voice of Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. And she is the voice of Madame Leota inside the ball, the head, both the Disney World and Disneyland in the Haunted Mansion. She supplied all three voices. And yeah, I mean, what an iconic voice for Disney. Let me throw out a couple others. I don't know if I'm gonna get to five. Especially because like people like you gotta love Winnie the Pooh's voice, right? But there's been people who've carried over, like same thing with Mickey Mouse, right? There's people who's carried, like Walt Disney was the original voice of Mickey Mouse, but he didn't, so the original voice. Voice actors. I'll just do a couple shout outs. I'm forgetting her name, but the lovely young actress from Moana who supplied the spirit, the heart, the soul of the character Moana in the form of the voice, but also her singing voice. Um, Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Judy Benson, Jody, excuse me, Jody Benson. Same thing. She supplied the speaking voice and the singing voice of Ariel in The Little Mermaid. And yeah, I mean, my brother and I, we love Disney, and we love fairy tales. We love fantasy. We love Disney princesses. Sorry. Um, Kristen Bell, huge thumbs up. And then, my God, I'm forgetting her name. Uh, I want to say Melendez. It's not Melendez. Elsa, singing voice and speaking voice. What is her name? Somebody help me out. How we doing with people? We're doing all right. We're doing all right. If some Eleanor Audley. That's funny because I don't even like. If you gave me that in a multiple choice, I probably still wouldn't have got it. If you could invite 4 people, living or dead, to dinner, who would they be, and what would you serve them? Think starter, main, and dessert, plus a suitable beverages. You know, an aperitif and digestif. Ah, man, you know, if there's anything I can't stand is having dinner with strangers. No, I legitimately, one of my fears, there's probably gonna be on here somewhere. What are one of my fears? I don't like eating in front of people. I don't like eating in front of people. It's just, to me, I don't know if it was the way I was raised. Eating is a very private thing. It's like, it's a dinner table when we were kids. We didn't do much talking. We ate, and then we spoke to one another at the dinner table. And to this day, I just don't like to like chow down around friends. That's why I'm always the last one to finish my meal when at the dinner table with people. But if I were to like say hang out and have a glass of wine with 4 people, living or dead, a lot of the people I would pick would be extremely depressing. Like people like Raymond Chandler, which, man, he would just not be the life of the party. Alfred Hitchcock, I mean, I think that he would just, you know, he'd somehow say something to ruin everyone's mood. And not dead, but Woody Allen, you know, I have a feeling he could turn the conversation in a direction that wouldn't be appropriate for everybody. I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Maybe you could sit down with the four gentlemen from Pink Floyd back in the day and say, folks, what are you doing? You're acting like children. You wasted decades. You could have made several more amazing albums. And you only chose not to because grudges you held against each other. Idina Menzel, thank you very much. A beautiful name, and one that I unfortunately can never remember. Speaking of which, I've never seen the musical Wicked, and that, if that's on this list, that is the next one, the next Broadway show I'd like to see. Idina Menzel, she was the, never mind. She opened the show. And what would I serve? Yeah, this is a very good question. Who's it coming from? Very good question. I should have prepared a little bit more for that. That's a hard one. I don't know. I don't know. I'd probably just want to meet one person and leave the drinks out of it and leave the food out of it. But that's just me. What do you feel is your greatest accomplishment up to this point? What experience, good or bad, has been most life-changing in the terms of personal growth? No question. And go ahead, chuckle, laugh. uh, do it if you want. But after all I've accomplished, after all I've done, a lot of stuff I haven't shared with you folks. Um, there's a lot of things I should and am proud of that I've accomplished, especially with uh, some of the unique burdens that I have. I mean, we all have our burdens that we have to carry on our shoulders, but I think battling those personal demons and accomplishing some of the things that I have, I'm very proud of myself. But there's no question, I think the thing that puts the biggest smile on my face is knowing that I've done that in the past, I've done that in the past, I've done that in the past, and now I'm in a place in my life where I'm like, wow, well, I've done all of this, and now I finally see a direction I should be heading, and I can use all of that stuff that I spent so long working on. None of that time was wasted. So it's a very vague way to answer that question, but so you could say it was the first time I hit record on the very first episode of the Candle Enthusiast. Or I could say it was the first time I ever walked on a stage. Because the last thing I could ever voluntarily do without being forced when I was younger is being on stage in front of a bunch of people and having to actually speak. So that was something. What are the most elusive Yankee Candles for you personally? Any scents that got away? I love the way you phrased it. Any scents that got away, kind of like, you know, the lover, the woman, the ship in the night who got away. He passed cross and it just wasn't meant to be. What Yankee Candle for me personally? I think there's only one, and I will find it. I will get it. I will smell it, and I will learn about it at some point in my life. And that's simply going to be. It's not simply going to be, but it's a post 1995 Yankee Candle in the classic apothecary house warmer jar. It was not Yankee Candle's first Halloween candle, not even close, but it was really the first Halloween Yankee Candle as we know it, you know, like in the apothecary jar. And that would have been a fragrance simply called Halloween. If you Google it, you can find really poor pictures of it. Several people have it. Um, there's got to be somewhere someone that's tied with the company that has it. It's simply got a jack-o'-lantern on it with a big smile. It's called Halloween, and there is simply no description of the fragrance notes. And there should be, because it is not that old. I think that the people who own it just simply can't wrap their head around it. It's probably somewhere of a mixture between black licorice and witch's brew. So and Nikki picked for her people at the dinner table John Carpenter, Boris Karloff, Kirk Hammett, and Tim Burton. Well, I tell you what happened there. Tim Burton and Boris Karloff would kind of break off and they start their own conversation. Uh, and John Carpenter would just sit there and like smoke cigarettes and talk about like, you know, the good old days. I love John Carpenter. That's a good pick. Good pick. Let's keep going. So that really is the only candle that got away from me. That and last year, I have several of them now, but last year I worked really, really, really hard. I wanted to be the person to introduce to you Sweet Seduction, a brand new fragrance by Yankee Candle for Halloween 2017, and not literally slipped between my fingers, but I mean, so close to literally that it's scary. I had the opportunity to get it. I had it. I had it. I had it. I just didn't act fast enough, and the opportunity was taken away from me. And I think that thorn will always be stuck in my side because, other than that candle, I was able to get, and this is, I don't know, it was fun for me. It was a challenge. I was able to retrieve every Yankee Candle Halloween candle last year before anybody else did, at least on YouTube. And it's not like I'm trying to be better than anybody. Don't take me the wrong way. I just wanted to be the person. I said, like, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to introduce these candles to the YouTube world. I did it one year. I'm working on it again this year. Do you ever sit around and think about the fact that we are all but one out of millions of species on a sphere that is rotating in space? I need coffee for this one. Of course I do. Very intellectual question. Do you ever just sit around and think about the fact that we are but one out of millions of species on a sphere that's rotating in space? The only way I would change that is that I would make that, I would rewrite that sentence and phrase it in a way where I am highlighting how beautiful of a fact that is. Maybe I shouldn't use the word fact. We all, fact, probably a bad word to use there, but if that is anyone's belief, that should be a beautiful thing, and it shouldn't be this haunting thing, this condemning, dooming, looming reality check that haunts us. In fact, it should be just the opposite. It's a beautiful thing. If that is indeed the case, um, we are just on a sphere. We are on a sphere. Just trying to be very careful with my words here. I think it's a positive thing, and I do think about it all the time. When you're driving, do you ever look at people in other cars and realize we are just a bunch of skeletons driving around? When you're driving, do you ever look at the people in the cars and realize we are all just a bunch of skeletons driving around? And do you picture skeletons driving and shopping? And in parentheses, hint, colon, I do. Person asking the question, which I'll keep secret. No. That is a unique thing that you should embrace about yourself. I do observe people. I do. I'll sit in a parking lot and listen to music, or maybe not even a parking lot, because I don't think I've ever done that. But like, sit in a mall and watch families interact, or sit at Disneyland and watch people interact with each other. But I don't picture them as skeletons. But thank you for asking. What thoughts keep you up at night? What thoughts keep me up at night? Time moving quickly. This is where things get heavy, because how much further we got? We got a good way to go here. And how far are we into this? We're almost an hour and a half, so I do have to speed this up a little bit. What thoughts keep me up at night? I'm gonna be very quick and move on. So everything that we all think about: time, money, future. Are we gonna be able to pull this off in time? Stupid, not stupid, but just completely irrelevant questions like, how do they manufacture this product? How does that happen? Or how did someone invent this product, or where did this word, any word, I'm just a word in my head, where did that word derive from? So I do a lot of the Wikipedia Google searching on my phone at night. Do you imagine yourself in scenarios and play them out like a choose the ending book? I don't, but that sounds fun. And I did read those books, like Goosebumps, where you choose, like, do you go through the door or do you go back and rescue your friend? I'd always die, but I was happy because if I died quick, it meant that I actually finished reading a book when I was a kid. Have you ever been asked weirder questions? No, these are great questions. I wanted questions all over the board, and these are certainly good questions. Very good questions. Do you like cult B movies? If so, what are your favorites? I'm a John Waters fan. You know, I have John Waters. I can't, like, the guy personally, as far as like seeing him in interviews and him talking about, he seems like a very intelligent person. I haven't ever really had a chance to sit down and do like a John Waters retrospective of all of his work, nor am I really all that interested. Maybe one day the time will be right. And like as far as like people like, you know, the real Ed Wood or any exploitation films, that it's just not me. Cult B movies, the closest thing you're ever going to find me to talking about like cult B movies are going to be the very, very low budget but very popular horror films that you found in the video rental stores on VHS. The films that never made theater but had a long VHS life in the video rental stores. Movies like Troll 2, um, Demonic Toys, Jacko, uh, the Leprechaun franchise. You know, films of that series. Even, you know, slasher films like the Friday the 13th films and Nightmare on Elm Street. Some of them actually are. I'm not gonna put any one down or whatever. Some of them actually are. Uh, you know, decently made films, but that's not the point. I think those movies are fun, not because they're well told stories or well made movies, but they're just, it's like a board game, you know, it's something to do with friends that are, it's incredibly fun and funny to do, whether you're by yourself or whether you're hanging out with your friends or family, to watch some of those movies. Um, if you stop doing YouTube, what would you do? If I stopped doing YouTube, meaning, so if I stopped all, not just Candle Enthusiast, but every form of YouTube, um, I would probably start building, start making things. One of my huge inspirations, something that I'm surprised is a name that does not come up often. I used to get Alton Brown all the time when I would do like my coffee episodes, but one of my inspirations is Adam Savage. You remember Mythbusters? No, I'm not saying like Mythbusters is like, you know, it was a great show, but I'm not. It's not so much the show as it is Adam Savage. If you spend time listening to this guy, listen to him speak, a very intelligent guy, and he has a great way of kind of explaining why he's a little bit twisted and weird, and why he likes making film props and replicas, why he likes cosplaying, and why he enjoys, you know, trinkets, building things that other people have no interest in. He's got a great way of wrapping his head around why it's important to him, and why, and giving him an excuse to continue to do it, and finding other people similar to him that share his passions. So I think I would go back into prop making. I've always loved the idea of creating replicas, props. I did it in my past to, you know, pay my way through college. Props, replicas, um, maybe get into set design, not like as an apprentice, maybe a set design on low budget features, building sets. I just like making things with my hands. I like visualizing, seeing someone's image, them describe that to me, and then making it with my hands and tools. So it would most likely have something to do with being in a workshop with, you know, spray paints and airbrushes, lots of silicones and latexes and building supplies, fabrics. What is your favorite restaurant? In Napa Valley, it's a place I used to go called Farmstead. Well, I don't need to spell it out. Farmstead, like homestead. It was great. It was great. It's in the town of St. Helena, on the northern end of Napa Valley. It's not white linen, but it is farm to table, live music, very spacious, great cocktails, great food. I loved going there. I miss it. When I lived there, if I could afford it, I would have been there every night. I have eaten at the French Laundry, though. If you don't know what the French Laundry is, look that up. I spent probably a 2-week paycheck in one night at the French Laundry. That's a story for a different time. How many miles on my car? I just hit like 68,000, which is not a lot. I rent a lot of cars. You know, I take care of my little toy car. So if I'm going up to New Hampshire, I rent a car or use a friend's car. I've used my father's car. I've used my mother's car. I don't think I've ever used my brother's car, but I'll use different vehicles. But when it comes to my vehicle, I have this small little Toyota Yaris. I bought it as a little Napa Valley car. You know, never expected it to be in snow. And the thing is, it's a beast. It's yet to be in the shop for any repairs. And it doesn't really have all that many miles on it. How many miles in your car? Man, is this gonna be like a part 1, part 2? I should have rehearsed because... No, we're good, we're getting there. No, we got 1 page left. We got 1 page left, and we're gonna open it up to you guys. I'm actually going to start talking to you guys. I haven't had a chance to even look at the comments. Describe your perfect day. My brother, my sister-in-law, myself, and let's just throw in my whole family. I'm only saying my brother and my sister-in-law because we've actually done it before, but my whole family at Disneyland early in the morning, an hour before the park even opens. That's my perfect day, perfect hour. Us being in the park before any other guest. That's about as close as it's gonna get. You notice, you see a theme that's happening here? A lot of Disney, a lot of make-believe. A lot of, I mean, you got Mickey Mouse there too, which doesn't hurt. What was your most embarrassing moment? Wait a minute, we've done this. Have I made a full circle? Oh, okay, so we just need to go back to this one right here. there's a couple that I circled. Well, there's actually just really one that I circled that I wanted to save for the end. I thought some of these questions got a little bit more heavy, but really not the case. Not that these were very fair, easier questions. You guys could have been a little bit more rough on me. Uh, and you know what? I didn't even read this one. I skipped it. That's why I didn't even circle it. What causes you to feel panic, and have you ever had a panic or anxiety attack? People, yes, yes. Anxiety, high tension, uh, it's it's ingrained in who I am. It's a lot of both positive and negative. It's the reason why I am who I am today, is because I've, like so many of us, I have a really difficult time believing that someone could say, well, I don't really experience anxiety. I think we all experience anxiety. It's how we deal with it, and then also, for some unfortunate folks, how we like myself in many scenarios have a very difficult time rationally working your way through anxiety. And um, you know, I always try to portray, and I don't say portray because I'm not like acting, but I always want to show you my best side. I don't want to show you when I'm hurting and I'm struggling and I'm having anxiety. You know, that's not something. That's not why you guys come to see me. But at the same time, I think it's important that if you know me and if you've been around with me for a while and you support me, whether it be my show or you support me just as a person in general, or if we've created a friendship between each other, I think it's important to know that yes, I am a very anxious person. I think I've always described it as being embarrassed. I was always embarrassed to do things. I'm embarrassed to do that. I'm embarrassed to say that. I passed up that opportunity because what if that happened, and would I be able to live with that? There's things that I've said when I was in the second grade. Things that I've said when I was in the second grade that still haunt me to this day because it makes me embarrassed to think about, why did I say that? Why was I so silly? If I just thought a few seconds longer, I could have given a better answer. And I think a lot of people, a lot of you guys would know that I'm rational. I look at things logically, and it's a curse and perhaps maybe a blessing in disguise that I can't, when it comes to anxiety, um, I won't use the word depression. I have a depressive behavior, but we all do at times, right? But the depression is a very serious thing, as we all know. It's nothing to laugh about. But it all comes in one big bundle. It all comes in one big sack. And unfortunately, I have and have experienced a lot of anxiety in my life, which has forced me to um, not quit, but forfeit a lot of things, to pass up on a lot of opportunities, to miss things, to um, it's just that image of leaving opportunities behind, and they were just right there. So not to be a complete downer, but I think that I'm going somewhere with this. With anxiety, something that has always been, and this is leading into an announcement, something that has always been hard for me personally is physical appearance. Physical appearance. And some people are like, I don't get it. Like you kind of make fun of your hair, and you make fun of yourself and you dress funny sometimes and stuff like that. Well, yeah, but again, that goes back to that kid in first grade who didn't have a seat and sits down on the floor, right? Trying to make people laugh. Uh, I I was just was rather born or from the earliest age I could possibly remember have had a problem with physical appearance. And at the same time, on the Candle Enthusiast fan book, Facebook fan page, uh, you guys have started something amazing. You started, what's the official name you picked out for it? But being it's something to the effect of enthusiastically. Help me out, guys. Enthusiastically. Um, uh, Doing things and helping each other out, giving each other support to make every day a little bit healthier and to focus on certain things. And it has nothing to do with just weight loss or like, you know, uh, all these trivial things that people say, oh, this makes you healthy. No, if there's something about yourself that you think, it doesn't even have to be a physical thing. If there's something about yourself that you want to make you want to change because you think by changing it, it would make you a healthier person, make you live a healthier life. I think this is a perfect direction. When I always say I want to expand the Candle Enthusiast and cover different topics, and really, yes, we'll talk about candles. We'll always talk about candles. But there's other stuff that we need to do. There's other adventures that we need to explore. And I think this is a perfect segue because as long as you guys are super serious, as you have been over the past few days, about making systematic steps and changing not temporary things in life, but changing things in your life to make uh, daily operations healthier. I'm going to take on a challenge and I am going to set the stage, set the course. I am going to create a 10-week series because as you noticed, as I'm sure a lot of you noticed, over the course since I started Candle Enthusiast, I've put on a massive amount of weight, and that's okay. I mean, that's okay. I can't stand it because I told you physical appearance really bothers me. Really bothers me. It gets me very, very anxious, very upset. But what's worse than that is that it's not like I'm 20 years old and I'm putting on weight. I'm getting older, man. Things hurt, and I'm getting sick, and I don't have as much energy throughout the day. I'm sleeping too much, and my work ethic is suffering. I want to take a week by week journey fixing one thing at a time. And this is not instructional. This is not going to be like, you should do what I'm doing. But I just want to show you how I am going to tackle one thing at a time, one week at a time, and systematically try to get myself to a healthier place after 10 weeks. And all this is if you're going through your own journey, if you're going through your own experience, if you're trying to make changes for yourself and you're trying to be healthy, you're trying to be more positive, you're trying to make positive, or you're just trying to conquer the really nasty hurdles in life, and you just need to take a moment and see somebody else and see them experiencing their journey and get a little piece of motivation, a little piece of like, you know what? Yeah, if Shane's gonna go that far, maybe I can go that far too. And I'm doing this fueled by your guys' excitement, but also fueled by everything that you guys have given me over the past year and a half. I owe you more than I could ever afford to pay, more than I ever could express in words. I want to do this. I want to do it for myself, but I want to be there and I want to provide content that's going to be supplemental in your process of becoming a healthier person. How does that sound? It may not have to do with candles all the time. You know, I'm not going to be going to the gym and bringing candles with me and doing candle evaluations. Is that okay? The, the channel is called The Candle Enthusiast, but it's also Aromatic Adventures, right? Adventures being the key word. We're on a journey, we're on an adventure together. As long as we're out every day, creating adventures, making steps forward, doing good things, staying positive, doing what we can to be happy, and dodging all of the other people that are around us who just want to surround their lives with drama and anger, angst, hate, greed. We don't need any of that. If we keep it positive, we help each other out. This is what I mean about expanding the Candle Enthusiast. So, what you should expect, I can't make any official announcements today, but I start tomorrow. My journey starts tomorrow, and it will be a 10-week journey. What we'll see is probably one video, one vlog a week on the main channel, and then there's going to be supplemental material on my secondary channel. So if you're not subscribed right now, subscribe so you don't miss out, because there's going to be plenty of supplementary material on my second channel, Aromatically Speaking. But pretty much I'm going to make like an in-betweens kind of video, you know, back to the basics, cell phone, of every week, my goal, what I'm going to try to accomplish. And after the 10 weeks, even if I fail miserably, it will be an adventure, it will be a journey that I'm sure that I'll always remember, and I hope that, like I said, it will help you in the smallest way possible with your own personal journeys. Does that qualify as a big announcement? Can Shane, like, turn things around? Get, you know, like, come on, man, like, get that diet back in order. Get to the gym. Get outside. Get vlogging. Vlog outside. Move around. Let's spend less time here in the office and more time being active outside, and hopefully it will inspire you to do the same, to just park the car on the side of the road when you see something interesting and get out and explore it, document it, share it, whatever you want, or if you just want to come along with the ride. So there we go. That is my little announcement. I haven't come up with a name for this segment yet. I will have a name. It will be a 10-part series, and like I said, the supplementary material will be on the second channel, Aromatically Speaking. Will it be candle related? No. So as long as you're okay with that, will I stop doing my candle reviews? Will I stop doing candle reviews? No. But at the same time, I think I'm going to take I'm going to take a little retreat. Not like I'm going to slow down the pace. I think if anything, we're going to see more candle reviews. But I think the days of, and I was speaking about this on my live the other day, those of you who subscribe to the other channel, I think the days of me making like these cinematic, not cinematic, I don't want to make it like sound like I'm pretentious, but like me with the multi-camera candle evaluations, and I enjoy doing it, but I'd rather be taking that added production time and creating content that's not me just sitting at a desk, right? Like out there, like in the great wide open. Like let's like take like a spontaneous cruise somewhere and like document that. You know, let's be a little bit more spontaneous. Let's have a little bit more adventures, and let's just tone it down with the production of the candles. I think I introduced that word, aromatic adventures, about a year ago. It was always the Candle Enthusiast. Now it's the Candle Enthusiast, or Aromatic Adventures with the Candle Enthusiast. And I did that for a purpose. I wanted to transition out slightly. Let the Candle Enthusiast be like its separate thing on the channel, but making the main focus of this vlog, Aromatic Adventures. spend more time, spend more of our funds going out, doing fun things, seeing fun things. And I think I'll be happier, I'll be healthier because I'll be doing something that I think is a little bit closer to my heart, right? I can talk about a candle real quick. I don't need to spend a day making a video about a candle, right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? You guys still with me? And if you are with me, are you supporting what I'm saying? And what's great about YouTube now is I can go back and watch this video. I see the comments coming in now. And I love the responses that I'm seeing. And Holiday Home, that's an awesome little profile pic because it's just like a floating Jack Skellington head. And I'm so glad there's so many of you here to hear this. So where do we take this from here? I'm going to go to the doctors. I'm going to get some blood work. So this way, you know, again, I'm going to make big changes to my diet, and I just want to make sure that everything's on the up and up and that I'm healthy. And you guys probably may or may not know, I do have sugar issues. I may be hypoglycemic. It's something I've, you know, it's kind of been hanging over my head my entire life. I may be pre-diabetic. Let's cross our fingers that that's not the scenario, but I certainly do have a sugar problem. So I want to make sure that I'm doing everything healthy. So I want to also put that out there. And then I think I've mentioned everything I want to say. The only thing I haven't really stated is, if you read the line, it says, live, let's get personal, Q&A, why Yankee Candle, and the future of the Candle Enthusiast. The future of the Candle Enthusiast, we've talked about. I think what you guys should expect is a little bit more adventure, and not necessarily less candles, just not like, you know, high production videos. We'll probably end up seeing more candle evaluations, but more adventures on this channel. So this way we can get, we need, and just give me a second to explain this. The reason why I'm trying these different things, and the reason, and I want to try these different things, but we need this audience to get bigger. We need this audience to get bigger. It's just, I think what's sad is that the word candle, and when someone opens up my page and sees Yankee Candle, Yankee Candle, Yankee Candle, it turns off a lot of people who are not into candles. But really, at the heart of the show, I mean, really, the heart of my mission, do you really think it's about, like evaluating candles? No, it's a much more philosophical thing, right? It's much more of a nostalgic, holding on to memories and telling stories. So I think there's a lot of ways we can get more people, more of an audience involved without scaring them away with the word candle. Be like, oh, candles, candles, candles. Unfortunately, a lot of people, I'm not judging them. I probably at some point in my life I always loved candles, but I'm sure there's people who just don't understand the concept of candles. In fact, I'm sure of it. So I want to get more. When I hear people say, like, my significant other really likes this episode where you were talking nothing about candles, there's an audience member that should be watching who's not, because obviously they're not watching all the other episodes because of the candles. Just want to grow the audience. So I think the adventures will take us there. More amusements, more museums, more travelings, more journeys, see some resorts. Let's like look into like urban legends and all that fun stuff. Roadside attractions. Let's Adam the Woo this, as I would say. And why Yankee Candle? That's in the headline. Why Yankee Candle? I put that there. And I'm gonna find a way to justify why I put that there. Travis, thank you so much. Um, a super chat from Travis. Adventures awaits. You better believe it, my buddy. Trust. Thank you so much. Um, Yankee Candle. Yes, they're candles. They're little time capsules. They hold lovely fragrances, right? They do, don't they? Aren't the fragrances? They're so lovely inside. Crisp fall night, right? And there's my picture on there, which makes me happy every time I come in my office and I see it. It makes me happy, right? But when it comes down to it, it's not what really gets me going and fascinated is the nostalgia. It's the potential of where can this art form go? Where does this art form go? Are there people out there like me who think like I do? And Yankee Candle, maybe this is not because we always talk about the size of the labels. Here we go. If anyone spent time in Prospect Park in Brooklyn, this is what this reminds me of, even though it's very different. Crisp morning air. This takes me back to a time in my life. I would stroll around Prospect Park. I met some interesting people there. Had some very lovely days in this kind of weather. And for me, this is a way to smell this candle and go back to those special memories. Now, you give me a candle that just says crisp morning air without that picture on it. I have trouble. I have trouble connecting with a candle emotionally because you're taking away. The imagery and not the label, but what happens in my head. Like if you give me a candle that's just called cherry blossom and vanilla, and it's all it says, right? I love cherry blossom and vanilla. That's great. Add them together. Maybe there's a bunch of other stuff in the candle, but to me, it comes back down to one of a few things. The nostalgia. I always say storytelling. Maybe I mean poetry, mental photography, but all of those words fit into the category of memories and associations. That's why Yankee Candle is so important to me. It's just another question I get all the time, like, why not? Why aren't you talking about these candles? Why aren't you talking about those candles? Why don't you do these candles? Why don't you do these candles? Why do you like this other candle company that's not Yankee Candle and you spend so much time talking about it? Well, because, like, say, Witch City Wicks, for example. I love Witch City Wicks because I feel like what Liz is doing, we're on some kind of wavelength, right? We're on some wavelength where I feel like what she's trying to do with the fragrance corresponding with the artwork and the story behind her candles. So that's it. That's why Yankee Candle. So when we talk about a lot of Bath and Body Work products, Bath and Body Works, or the brand new, beautiful like Harry Slacken collections, I've been looking at these pictures and I'm like, oh my God, these are fantastic. They look pretty. They're beautiful. But there's so many other wonderful candle reviewers on YouTube who've got it covered. They're out there. They've got it covered. There's so many people doing it. You don't need to see repetitious content coming from me. So the only reason why you don't see me doing the popular trending candles is just because there's other people doing it. You're always, from this point on, you're going to see me doing Yankee Candle, and you're going to be hearing me talk about candles that most likely other people aren't talking about. That's what I want to say about that. And man, an hour and 120 minutes later, I have said everything I wanted to say, and I feel good. I feel energized. Hey, I feel like I might want to start getting healthy tomorrow. Should I start tonight? No, I have. I actually have been taking baby steps to get to my first challenge, which is my first week. So day one begins tomorrow. But let's open up the chat for you guys. I completely understand. We've been here forever. So if anyone needs to go, don't feel, please don't feel guilty about checking out. I will probably go back and watch this and read all your comments. I was saying that before. You can do that now on YouTube. You can read the comments. Christina says, I'm burning crisp fall night now. Isn't that awesome? Doesn't it smell like the most beautiful autumnal cup of tea? Like it just smells like, it took me forever to kind of wrap my head around this. Like, what does this remind me of? I mean, there's so many different things, but it's, to me, just smells like like a really well brewed steeped tea with like coconut and vanilla and lemon, little creaminess in there, and something about that, it just hits the nail on the head crisp early morning. I just love scents and candles, says Jasmine. I do too. I think you are in the majority. You like candles. You like scents. I think I fall into the minority in that I look at it and I enjoy it the same way you do, but I'm always in pursuit of finding the artistic niche in the industry and trying to poke at it and poke at that levee to see if there's some kind of candle artistic movement that can happen. Each Yankee Candle reminds me of a point in time coinciding with a fragrance debut. That's interesting, says Carol. Lots of memories and fragrances that evoke nostalgia. Love the labels and concepts. Yes, I think this is like why we, us diehard Yankee Candle folks, I think that you kind of just summed it up, Carol. I think that's really like, even though Yankee Candle, for some might say that they've gone through, some turbulent times the past couple of years. How we have a forgiving nature because we understand that they have already given us so much, and we keep our fingers crossed that the future of Yankee Candle will continue to be positive. Rachel says, I love photography and art. Without it, the candles are plain and boring. I'll read it again because I think it bears repeating. Rachel, I love photography and art. Without the candles, without it, the candles are plain and boring. So that's a very frank way of putting it. If that's not you, if you don't share that quality with Rachel, that is fine. But I feel what I feel what Rachel's trying to say, and that I've already explained. I've already explained my case. Brian says subscribers aren't that important though, because people have some people have millions of subscribers and barely get 10 to 20% of these people to watch their videos. And so subscribers is nothing as far as a number. Yeah, Brian, that's 100% true. 100% true. It's never been a popularity contest to me. If there was no such thing as subscribers, which you can't. I mean, you have to have subscribers. But I agree with you. Where it becomes a problem for YouTube creators like myself is that if, let's say, I just spent a couple days at the Red Lion Inn in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. Now, good chance, if we saw our audience grow from, we just hit 2,400. If we saw our audience grow to 24,000, right? I think we'd have a better chance if I go to Red Lion Inn and say, look, I would love to spend a couple days here. I'm a vlogger. I also analyze candles. My show is family friendly. I just want to kind of highlight the beautiful Red Lion Inn and share my experience with all my viewers. Don't you think they might be a little bit more willing to be like, oh, well, let's put you up for the night and you do your thing, and it's kind of like a little bit of promotion for them, and they throw me a bone. This is how we get this oiled machine to work, right? Now if I suggested that idea to them and they looked and saw that I had 2,000 viewers, to me that's the biggest number in the world. But to them they're like, well, 2,000, I mean, we're a huge nationwide known resort that has a grand history. There's nothing that this little YouTube channel can do to promote us. So, and this goes not just with resorts, and it's not that I just want freebies, but I think the more credibility we have as far as numbers and audience opens up doors as far as what other companies, what other businesses will allow us to do. I contacted Ben and Jerry's, right? I told you about this. Like, is there any way I can video video me making my own ice cream? And they're like, you would still have to pay for it, and you have to film it on like a cell phone. There's so many rules and regulations. I'm like, wait a minute. It's like, but at the end of the day, if I was promoting your business and promoting other people to come make their own ice cream at Ben and Jerry's, wouldn't they just gladly say, yeah, come, come? So that's the only place where I disagree with how subscribers matter versus they don't. To me, it's all about credibility. The more subscribers we have, the more diversity we have, but also the more credibility we have. And Costa says, you nailed it, Shane. Yankee will always be what I burn and buy. Yeah, tradition, right? Is someone going to convince me not to buy a Christmas tree anymore? Nope. Unless there's like they were endangered. Then I'd buy a fake Christmas tree. But Yankee candles are tradition. They are part of my life. And Rachel says, thank you for doing this, Shane. Rachel, thank you. I want everyone, you don't have to physically type it out, but I really want you to understand what Rachel and her team of Facebook, uh, the I don't want to call them administrators. They're like a Facebook family. They've given a whole new side and a whole new life to the Candle Enthusiast. People are finding the Candle Enthusiast now because of the Facebook group. I mean, that's insane. So all of my thanks to Rachel and all of the administrators who and if that's not a big enough plug to go request to join the Candle Enthusiast fan group on Facebook, let me suggest it. Go do it. It's a fun, very positive place to hang out. What is your favorite Yankee Candle scent that's your number one? Gabe, it's always going to go back to Witch's Brew because I think that's the one that I realized that had the biggest emotional, it sent me down the biggest emotional portal I've ever experienced. And like I said, I've always liked candles. I liked fragrance, but there was a time in my life when I started to rediscover Yankee Candle, and Witch's Brew was one of them where when I smelled it, it wasn't just, oh, this reminds me of this. It sent me down a portal of emotions, and I'm like, whoa, I gotta own every Yankee Candle in the world now. So it all for me, if it all started with the mouse, if it all started with the mouse for Disney, for me it all started with Witch's Brew. And I know a lot of you cannot stand it. I used to just buy candles based on the color of them, but recently I started to appreciate the scent. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. But trust me, you say that like it's weird. Think about how many people buy wine based on the label, and they've never tasted it. Sometimes they'll read the bottle and they'll see a grape name on it or a place. They've never heard of it, but the label looks pretty, right? So there's nothing wrong. I don't think. I think wine and candles weirdly are always. I'm always finding like I'm always drawing these comparisons that if the color or if the image strikes you first, and maybe you're not even in love with the fragrance, but there's something about it that intrigues you, that's exciting to me, right? Season a piece. I can't burn it. It's so powerful. But I love that fragrance. I love to just sit there, pull it off the shelf, and smell it because it's just this mysterious, this white witch. Can I call it a white witch? And I mean witch not in a derogatory way. I mean it in a beautiful way. Some people are leaving. It'd be great if you got on Yankee PR list. One day when our audience is bigger, we'll give Yankee Candle another try. I've sought out just about every opportunity I could to reach out to Yankee and say, look, Yankee, I don't want a job. I don't want you to make me famous. I don't want anything from you. You owe me nothing. I love Yankee Candle. If anything, the whole company has treated me with nothing but kindness and love, especially the folks at South Deerfield, Massachusetts. But it's clear to them that they just don't want to collaborate. And that makes sense. They're a huge corporation that's owned by another huge corporation that's owned by another huge corporation. So, one day, I would love to see, like, how cool would it be if you, like, one day we get to a point where you see, like, Anthony from Candle Cafe and myself signing signatures, like a meet and greet at the Yankee Candle Village. We got a long way to go to get there, but like that I can imagine. That I can see happening. I can't see Yankee Candle ever, as a company, doing anything more than that. All right, so folks, I'm going to skim to see if I missed anyone's questions. Last opportunity for questions, because we have created an epic vlog here, and somehow made it with 0 thumbs downs. I'm telling you, you keep it positive. Where did the haters go? I don't know. I'm jinxing myself, but really cool. What would the perfect date be? I would say Disneyland. I won't, because I probably wouldn't be paying attention to the date as much as I should be. Perfect date. I'm old school. I probably should have been born, in like the 40s, late 40s, like my parents. Like drive-in, and not like drive-in like, with, alternate. How do I want to say it? A friendly experience at a drive-in, like hanging at the drive-in, like John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, right? Well, no, because he kind of attacked her in that scene. I'm really not doing a good job. Like, I want to go see a movie and innocently watch a movie with a date in, a nice, like, Chevy, 1956 Chevy, eat some popcorn, maybe go get, like, a burger, at like a 50s diner. I don't know. In my head, I live in happy days. And I guess a perfect date would be what Richie Cunningham, what his favorite date would be. Whew, man, I'm just making myself look great. Stranded at the drive-in. One more question, and then let's wrap this baby up. By the way, if you ever are wondering where to buy tea lights, you know what I mean by tea lights, right? Look at this is a new accessory. This was at an outlet, 50% off. I'm on a big like under the sea aquatic kind of Ariel Little Mermaid thing right now. Um, I don't have any summer accessories. But anyway, the the Yankee Candle, the Yankee Candle tea lights that they sell in the bags, these last a long time, like a lot longer than the ones you buy in other locations. So they might cost like an extra dollar a bag, but I'm just gonna give you my recommendation. We've been sitting here for how many hours? Over 2 hours, and all of my tea lights are still lit. And I had them lit before I even went live. Christmas tree shop. I gotta do. I gotta go. Gotta do a little Christmas tree shop visit soon. Candle Cafe collaboration. Okay, Brian. So this is how it. This is the way it goes. This is the way it has gone. Anthony and I have been in direct contact on multiple occasions to work on not just a collaboration, but several different projects. Right, like we want to create content for his channel, content for my channel, maximize the time together, but also do it in a way where it's not just me sitting in on his show or him just sitting in on my show. Do it in a way where we're we're kind of we're digging deeper. We're asking more questions. And I talked to Anthony about like what if we did like a sit down. We kind of just did like a chit chat interview with each other. Just kind of why did you start buying candle? Where did it all start? Does it tap back into childhood? You know, have it be very informative, but also do like some fun, kick gay vlogs. Just camera in hand, us out and about. Um, just getting to know each other. Just the contact I've had with Anthony alone, I think we'd get along fantastic. But with Anthony, he's a very, very busy. We're all very busy, but this guy is, I mean, out of control. I mean, as you know, he's always talking about school. He was working full time, and he is in New York, but I mean, he's in a place in New York where it's not really easy for him to just swing up to places, other counties, other cities, other states. So I completely understand his schedule is just really full, but the time will come, and it'll come very soon, where Anthony and I will not just have like a collaboration, but there will be a series of projects that we'll be working on. So to make up for you guys having to wait, there will be extra content. Am I the only weirdo that dreams out of hanging out with Shane and Anthony? No. Brian, you're more than welcome to hang out with us. Okay, this is the last question, and then we're going to wrap up for the day. It's a good question. How many different scents have I burned at the same time? I don't have an exact number. It would certainly have been during Halloween, and it probably had been 7, but all in different locations in my apartment. But question of the day, when this video is finally loaded, you guys got to come back and you got to ask more questions, and you got to answer this particular question. How many candles have you burned at one time? And if it's not a lot, tell me something interesting, like you burned this candle with that candle, like you burned, you burned, I don't know, you burned like greenhouse with juicy grapefruit, and it was this huge contrasting explosion of wonderfulness, you know. So come back, make sure you leave a comment. Mark comes in at the very tail end. Hello, Mark. uh, and this is not because of Mark, even though Mark is the die-hard eBay, he's like an eBay expert. He goes to war with people on eBay. But it's the one thing I do want to mention. I promised some eBay items this weekend, but don't fear, I got more. I got a bunch of stuff right here. A candle that you guys have probably never heard. I'd never heard of it before I found it. So a lot of interesting black bands going to be fixed. I'm working on those other videos that I was telling you about. They're going to be posted. This was the one I really wanted to get off my chest, this live video, because I really need to go on this health kick for myself. And I feel like it's kismet that you guys have kind of started doing it too. And this is going to be a big healing process for me. And I am super excited, and I'm going to stay positive. And if there's ever a time where you feel that positivity, your positivity's shaken, reach out to me. You know my email address. You know how to get in contact with me. And never feel like you're annoying me or bothering me. If I don't answer your email, send another one. Get a hold of me. Thank you so much for watching. We're officially entering, this is it. I'm calling the shot right now. We're entering phase 2 of the Candle Enthusiast as of this moment. This is a big change. We're not losing anything, but we're changing things up, and we're growing, and we're gonna make things bigger and better. And that is a guarantee from me. Thank you to all your support, love, always. I'm right here. Thank you so much. I will be seeing you folks soon. But until then, be good and be healthy. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye. Have a great Sunday.